I'm James J. Traitz, author of the book, Don't Stop Your Mind, here with Dr. James J. Hurtak, J.J. Hurtak, who is the original author of his very first work, a great work, The Book of Knowledge, The Keys of Enoch. And many of the predictions in this book, on the order of 100 or more, have come true and been scientifically verified, I may add. Dr. Desiree Hurtak, along with Dr. J.J. Hurtak, have created their most recent book, The Overself Awakening. So with that opening, let me just express one more thought. People may ask, well, why is any of this important? Fine, there are ultraterrestrials out there. Fine, angels exist. Fine, the angels throughout biblical times and ultraterrestrials, which seem to be the same phenomenon as angels, have taken a great interest in us, in our evolution, and in planet Earth. Why should we bother? Why not just go along for the ride, focus on our mundane lives, and not bother with the heavy lifting of attempting to grow spiritually, or as Gurdjieff said, grow in being? There's a very important reason for it. And then I'm going to turn to Dr. Hurtak to give you some additional reasons, and Dr. Desiree Hurtak. But I'll give you one, simply this. In quantum physics, they have discovered that if you allow the play of particles to play out, whether electrons, photons, they will form a predictable and recurrent pattern again and again. However, if you watch, in other words, if you're conscious of any given so-called particle entity, an individual photon or an individual electron, it breaks the pattern. It's indeterminate, it's individual. What is the parallel? The parallel is this, and Gurdjieff spoke about that, and I've spoken about that in my other videos. If you remain consciously asleep, you are subject to what Gurdjieff called the law of accident. Just like that bell curve of those particles which will assemble in a certain predictable pattern. When one grows in being and steps onto the path of becoming spiritually awake, you begin to break free from the law of accident. You are no longer controlled by the matrix of the universe, and you literally begin to become a fully endowed man, in the sense of mankind, man or woman, a truly free man, a true conscious participator with the hierarchy of consciousness in our universe.
Right.
Am I right, Jim?
Exactly. And Newtonian physics are great, but there's something beyond Newtonian physics. An astronaut Mitchell, when he was in outer space on the Apollo program, turned off his technology and used the powers of his mind to target mathematical knowledge to two human biological targets of Mother Earth without any technology, showing that there is no, shall we say, prohibition of how the mind can reach out non-locally throughout the universe. And so this brings another dimension of what the Keys of Enoch speak of, and that is the uniqueness of the protonic resonance with the power of the mind to redefine matter, energy, space, and time. We're living at a new change, a new consciousness cosmology is upon us.
Right, and I would just add to both of that by saying that we exist in a universe of entropy and of happenstance reality. And what I think James was saying is that the more we tune into a higher consciousness mind, the more we align ourselves to that greater consciousness awareness. And therefore, we know when we get up in the morning, we're kind of given that assignment of being careful, being aware, being conscious. That's very important, being conscious. If we're driving down the street, we get that still small voice that says, stop at that stop sign. And when we do, we don't get the traffic ticket. So we clearly have the option of living within a happenstance relativity or moving out of that ourselves into a greater consciousness awareness. We can tap into that universal mind, what we often call even a divine mind, that tries to help us in our direction of consciousness growth. And this is what's so important. We can literally be protected from many things that are taking place on the planet if we listen to that still small voice within.
So what is the bottom line here? We're moving from the reality of being a three-dimensional being into being fifth-dimensional. Fourth dimension being basically time constructs as it pertains to planetary mankind, but we're thinking now of ourselves as universal humans with an expanding consciousness.
May I